friends, welcome back to my channel. Sas here. I'm here to do the review of Killing Eve. Yes, I did not do last week's review because I was so enthralled with Game of Thrones and life, so I did not get to last week's, but that's neither here nor there. This is the present, not the past, so let's get into it. Of course, it's another great episode. Okay, so we have Valinelle. She is standing on a balcony and overlooking a very nice car. Here comes a young man bebopping down the street, okay? Valinelle is drinking a milkshake. She throws the milkshake onto the car. On the windshield, the guy freaks out. She runs inside. He goes through the car wash, and for some reason the door was unlocked, and Valinelle helped herself inside of the vehicle and proceeds to beat him to death, and then I guess chokes him. So she kills this young man. So apparently this was a, murder for hire. Constantine gave her some money. So this is all what Valinelle is up to now. Now Eve is a watcher of a guy who is interrogating Ghost, okay? Ghost is not saying a word, all right? You're not breaking her, all right? She knows the deal. So Eve is like, listen, give me a shot, all right? Let's see what I can do. And so they was like, all right, you think you can do any better? She was like, let me just go on inside. So she goes inside, and she's talking to Ghost. Eve asked her, she was like, do you know Valinelle? And the look on Ghost's face changed immediately. It was tense with the side of fear. And so Ghost said she is Dale Gal Deshwin, meaning the demon with no face. So Eve was like, all right, so I have a plan. So her plan is to get Ghost and V into the same room, and V will be able to crack Ghost so they can find out who is hiring Ghost to do all these killings. So they was like, that's a terrible idea. That is a terrible, terrible idea. So she was like, no, this is a great idea. V wants to get to me, so let's put a murder for hire out on me, So Constantine is talking to V, and he's like, listen, we got another case. So he hands her an envelope, and right there is Eve's face. And she said, absolutely not. She was like, what is this? Who picked this out? He was like, listen, okay, this is what you do. All right, you are too much involved in this. All right, she ain't your friend, she ain't your buddy. You are a trained killer. Okay, once you do this, you're gonna forget about it next week. So do your job. So of course, V is apprehensive. She does not want to kill Eve. So we have Eve. Eve is at her house, and her husband lets her know that he has a field trip to Oxford. So she was like, okay, that's all good. And then they were having dinner, and there was a knock on the door. Eve goes outside. On the porch there's this big box, and inside that box was beautiful flowers, and it spelled out Eve. Well, honey, she left that box on the porch. She comes inside, and she was like, you want to go upstairs? And he was like, what? Because that turned Eve on. So I guess they went upstairs, and he broke that back and that headboard. So the HBIC hires, I guess, some type of consultant to go over this case, because they're trying to figure out who hired someone to kill that pill guy. So the consultant is like, doing like this slideshow, and he's showing like different pictures to see their reactions. Like he showed a picture of a dead guy. Of course, Eve, she didn't even budge. So he showed a picture of Valinelle, and she immediately had some type of emotion to that picture. So later on, we see the HBIC at the library. And we see the consultant, he comes in. And she was like, how did it go? So he's telling her, he was like, Eve didn't have any emotion to the dead guy, but she had some emotion to Valinelle. And so she was like, so what is your take on this? And he was like, get her out of here, okay? She's too close, all right? She does not need to be on this case. So obviously the HBIC Carolyn was the one that set all this up. She wants to know what is Eve's relationship with V, okay? Because obviously something's going on. Okay, so Eve is ready, all right? They got her in the bulletproof vest, and she runs into Kenny, and Kenny was like, this is a terrible idea, all right? You should not do this, if they found out that you stabbed Villanelle and how you are wrapped up in this, they will pull you. And so she was like, well, nobody's going to find out, okay? Let me be who I am. We are going to do this. And so he was like, I don't want any parts. And so Eve was like, okay, you're fired. Well, she didn't say you're fired, but she was like, I'm sure your mother, a little shade, can assign you to a different team. And so he was like, what? I really didn't mean that. What are you talking about? And so she was like, move on. If you're not in it to win it, take your feet to the street. Okay, go elsewhere. So Eve has been such a jerk to Kenny. And Kenny has been the one that has stood by her. Kenny has not told anyone about her stabbing Villanelle. Kenny has not told anyone about how Eve is acting all strange, okay? So, Eve is at the train station, and this guy walks by and bumps into her. Well, that pisses her off. So she goes behind the guy, and she puts her hand on his back, and as the train was coming, she, for a split second, was going to push him into the train. I mean, I'm telling you, honey, Eve she's out there, y'all, okay? She is this is Valinelle. This is Eve. I mean, it's like Eve is so attracted and thrilled and is just in love with the thought of being like naughty and bad, like V. But anyway, and so of course she does not, push him off, and she takes a second and she's like, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God. So she goes home, she gets a knock on the door, and right there stands V. Okay, now V has been hired to kill Eve. Okay, Valinelle is dressed all in black. Honey, V shows up with this badass veil. Okay, I loved everything about it. Valinelle is so dope, so dope. So she was like, hello. So Eve was like, come on in. So they come in, and so Valinelle said, well, you know why I'm here. And Eve was like, yeah, I know why you're here. And so she was like, And so they were both looking at each other, and so Valinelle said, don't you think you owe me an apology? I mean, you did stab me and leave me for dead. And so Eve was like, well, you should owe me an apology as well. And so, of course, Valinelle has to bring in the Liz be honest scenario. She was like, yeah, while we both lay in the same bed. I was like, Valinelle, you ain't shit. You ain't. So, of course, there was no apologies. Eve was like, I'm not apologizing to you. And Eve was like, I need your help. And so Valinelle was like, I'm here to kill you. And so Eve was like, I know. I'm the one that hired you. Okay, I need your help. And Valinelle was like, get out of here. I'm not falling for that. So while all this conversation is going on, Valinelle is opening up the champagne glass. So she sets it on the table. She pulls out, a medicine bottle with some pills in it. And she said, here, take these. So Eve, she's got a little gumption to her now. So she sits down, tears rolling down her face. She's scared. She's trying to be tough. And she is popping these pills. And so Valinelle is looking at her like, what is she doing? What is going on? And so all of a sudden, Valinelle was like, why did you do that? You didn't supposed to take the pills. It's arsenic. It's arsenic. Get them out. She puts her finger down her throat. She tries to throw up, and here's Valinelle dying laughing. She's like, She was like, they're not poison. Okay, I wouldn't do you like that. So they had a conversation. And, Valinelle leaves. When Valinelle was leaving Eve's house, guess who was sitting outside? Constantine and Carolyn, the HBIC. So they were in cahoots with this whole time. I tell you, these people are so crooked. I just couldn't believe it. But anyway, then we see Ghost in the back of a van, blindfolded, so she don't know where she's going. They're going into the forest, and it's called the Forest of Dead. So they take Ghost, they throw her in the back of a storage unit. And so Eve was like, listen, answer my question. Who put the hit out on Peel? And so, of course, she didn't say nothing. She was like, listen, I warned you. Okay, so she leaves. In comes Valinelle. So Valinelle stays in there for I don't know how long. Eve is so upset because she's like, oh my God, Valinelle is torturing this woman. I don't know what I'm going to see when I go in there. She's going to be beat to death. She's going to, going to have one arm. I mean, what is she? She cutting her up, burning her. What is she doing? So Valinelle finally comes out. She was like, okay. She was like, I got your information. It was his son. His son Aaron put the hit out on his father. And she was like, what? So he was like, why, for money? And she was like, no, for some type of weapon. She was like, it's always about a weapon. So Eve asked V, she was like, what did you do to her? And Valinelle said, what you wanted me to do. That's what I did. And so Valinelle, walks off. Eve goes inside, and she's, apprehensive because she don't know what shape Ghost is in. But on the outside, Ghost looks fine. Okay? She looks perfectly fine. And so Ghost looks at Eve and says, monster. That's what Ghost said to Eve. So at the end, we see Nico. He's at Oxford, and here walks up Valinelle. And she's like, listen, I'm sorry I called all those complaints at your school. I was just trying to get, Eve's attention. He was like, what are you doing here? What are you talking about? Get away from the children. And she says, you know what? She said, it looks like someone stuck some fudge on your mustache. Or your face looked like a fudge with mustache on it. Or something like that. It was very funny. And so they walked down the alleyway. Nico wasn't about having any types of sorts with V. So he slams her up against the building, and he was like, stay away, what are you doing here? And she was like, you know what, your wife, okay, she didn't tell you about Paris when she stabbed me? And so he was like, you're lying. She did not do that. She wasn't even nowhere near you. She was like, oh, really? So she showed, the proof, and Nico is standing there in horror because, Eve has to lie to him, and he don't know what's going on. So, of course, Valinelle, she walks off because she's so proud of herself because she done dug some, into Nico about Eve, and she also makes it seem like that they had this little type of, relationship. But anyway, another fantastic episode. So I cannot wait till next week. I think there's only 2 episodes left, maybe 3. But anyway, guys, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next week, friends. Bye.